The unsurpassed, penetrating and perfect truth is seldom met with, even in 100,000 myriad kalpas. Now we can see and hear it. We can remember and accept it. I vow to make the Buddha's truth one with myself. Homage to the Buddha, homage to the Dharma, homage to the Sangha. Well, we're just coming to the end of a retreat focusing on training with integrity. A wonderful subject. And those of you who came for this retreat came because that's what you want to do, to train with integrity. So although you've been talking about it all weekend with lively discussions and the like, I thought I'd just say a little bit too, why not? Looking up integrity on the internet, in 35 seconds you've got 286 million results, and you might look at 5. When looking at those first ones, they seem to most of the definitions of integrity emphasize the aspect of uprightness, honesty, sincerity, and so on. And that's a lot of what I think you've all been talking about, I think, which is good. It's really great to practice uprightness, sincerity, honesty, integrity. It's very good. But there's also the aspect that Reverend Master Oswin mentioned the other day, which I find interesting. The aspect of wholeness, completeness, the integrity of a thing. Nothing taken away or lacking. It has this integrity, it's whole, complete. So I'd like to talk about that just a little bit. Wholeness, we can think of it as harmony, not disharmony or division. There's so much division and strife in our country and in our world. It seems to be more so than ever. We keep talking about this and thinking, We don't feel like our country is whole. It doesn't feel very whole. It seems divided and keeps getting worse. The world doesn't feel very whole, even less so, strife and conflict and all kinds of stuff going on, which has always been the case, but now it's kind of like it's more on our face than we're used to. I feel like I'm in a tin box. Can we turn me down a little bit? Thank you. I make myself nervous. Anyway, so how do we practice this aspect of integrity, wholeness and harmony? How do we do that? Practicing harmony. Try not to get caught up in divisive opinions and righteous anger. There's nothing like righteous anger or seemingly righteous anger to get us going. And there is there's a tendency to identify integrity with holding on to one's right views, refusing to compromise, refusing even to listen to another person with another view sometimes. We can think, this is my integrity, I'm holding to my, whatever. And actually it's not really quite the thing, because it can be divisive. You've all got opinions about virtually everything. And that's all right up to a point. I'm bursting with opinions myself, I'm sure we all are. But it's when you become angry and righteous, that's when you start having trouble. And that's when we get divided. Our world is divided up. We're adding to the disharmony and the discord when we're angry and righteous, adding to the suffering. I've talked about this many times. And the aspect of this wholeness that I'd really like to talk about today is the wholeness within ourselves, because everything else comes out of that. If we can feel whole within ourselves, we have some kind of a prayer of practicing some sort of harmony with others and in our world. If we feel completely disharmonious, it's hard to be harmonious with other people. So, how to practice wholeness, find wholeness, completeness within ourselves. Many of us, maybe most of us, feel like we're lacking something. We're not ever good enough, loved enough, safe enough, rich enough, successful enough, respected enough. Endless list of things we don't have enough of. And we're different. For some people, it's they can never feel they're loved enough. No matter how much people say, oh, I love you, or they have all their kids and their family, or whoever, it still is bottomless. They still feel there's a lack there. Or people who want to have a huge amount of wealth, no matter how much money they have, they need more. There's not enough. Bottomless, no matter how much. And with other things, physical health, people can exhaust themselves becoming healthy, but there's always more we can do. There's more bodybuilding we can do, whatever it might be. Whatever it is, no matter how respected we are or famous somebody might be, they may always want more. Not always, but it's often the case. Never enough. Never good enough. Some of us have been raised with the idea that we can never be good enough. Nothing we did was ever quite enough. No matter how hard we tried, it wasn't ever enough. So we have been brought that in and convinced ourselves that we have to exhaust ourselves constantly trying to do enough, or be good enough, help people enough, be nice enough, so forth. Trying to come up to somebody's expectations, and they become our own expectations of never, I have to do more, it's never enough. Trying to be perfect in some way, or perfect in every way. Hard work, and it's bottomless, because it's never going to be enough. So, we may not be quite aware that this is actually what we're doing, that we do have this bottomless hole. We think it's real, that actually I'm not good enough, or actually I'm not nice enough, or kind enough, or whatever it is enough. I'm not working hard enough. We can believe it. And we just keep on trying to fill up that bottomless pit with whatever it is we think we lack. Or trying to get more of whatever it is we think we don't have. People tell us they love us, we can't quite believe it. We can be kind of needy and feedy. Oh, do you love me? Do you love me? Or desire for love, for food, for the good things of life, for sex, for, all the different things. For enlightenment even. Desire for enlightenment. It's another kind of needy-feedy thing, actually, when you look at it. They're endlessly wanting something more, or wanting something else. The epitome of suffering. I want something else. This is exactly what it is. No matter how justified it might be, if we were starving, well, yes, we do want something else. We're starving. But for most of us, it's more like a discontent, the dis-ease. I'm not happy with myself. Something's lacking. Or I want more of whatever it is. We all have our own versions of this. Inadequacy, worry, fear, desire. They may never quite go away. But they can change. And how do we deal with this bottomless hole? Well, first, as I said, we need to be aware of it. That's the most important thing. If we're aware we have this endless neediness, this bottomless pit that's never going to quite fill up, so that we don't keep falling into this pit or trying to fill it up, it really helps to know that actually this is what our mind is doing. When we can see, oh, that's just my anxiety or fear or wanting reassurance or whatever it might be. You think, oh, there it is, right. I don't have to exhaust myself trying to justify this or be good enough or whatever it might be. We don't have to rush to make ourselves feel okay. We can sit still. To sit still in the midst of the discomfort, the dis-ease, discontent, dis-everything. To just sit still in the midst of it and let it be there. We're not trying to get rid of it. We're not trying to fill up that hole. We've worn ourselves out with that hole, worn out our little stay paid. Let's put the shovel down and put it away. And just sit there and let it be there and recognize it for what it is. It's just our form of suffering. If it wasn't this, it'd have to be something else. And to sit still and not blindly follow that impulse is liberating. It's really incredibly helpful. We don't have to believe everything we think. knowing that the hole is bottomless, so don't try and fill it in. It can never be filled, no matter what we do. Then we're not enslaved by it anymore. We can see it. Easier said than done, I admit, but it's a start. To know that it's bottomless, and that we can never content ourselves in that way. But to sit still helps us to fill in that hole, as it were. Because when you really sit still, sometimes we just get that little glimpse that maybe everything is okay. Maybe we're not horribly lacking something. Maybe we're not the worst person in the world, or the most hard done by person, or the most misunderstood person, or the sufferingest person in some way. Maybe we can just kind of let it go a little bit, relinquish the grip, to see it and not judge ourselves for it. It's just our training. As I said, if it wasn't this, it would have to be something else. We'd have to have some other kind of thing to worry about. To stop taking our states of mind for granted. Oh, I'm always like this. I know I'm just an angry person, or I'm a greedy person, or I'm a fearful person. We can change. We can see what we are doing. And we can try not to judge ourselves or as an angry or fearful person, but kindly relinquish the grip to see that habit of mind that we keep coming back to. Or many habits. We may have all of them. We may think we're angry, greedy, fearful, lustful, It doesn't have to be just one, but whatever it is, to see that we do this, and that it doesn't make us especially bad or especially deprived in some way. It's just what our proclivity is. And we can change. Kindly, sitting still, seeing our reactions, and relinquishing that grip a little, not just blindly reacting to things, seeing how we respond, seeing how the mind leaps to something and think, oh, wait a minute, there we are again, stuck on the wall of anger or whatever it is, Just help ourselves down. Another way of helping ourselves with this bottomless pit is to give ourselves, to change our focus from me and what I want or what I don't want or what I'm deprived of or what I need or what isn't working, to other beings as well, including me, because we're a part of beings. We're not a special, being. To give ourselves that opportunity, giving ourselves an opportunity. It helps us to overcome that self-reference, self-partiality, self-concern. I'm the most important being, We're not a specially important being, and we're not a separate being either. And when we give ourselves to ourselves and other beings, not just exhausting ourselves, depleting ourselves by sacrificing everything, we have to take care of ourselves as well. But when we give something of ourselves, that helps us to overcome that seeming barrier. I talked about this all the time, but I think it's helpful to keep reminding ourselves that to practice kindness and give our time, our effort, our sympathy, our energy, whatever it seems to be good, without trying to be a special holy person, but to give of ourselves is immeasurably helpful. I think it's the easiest way to contentment and wisdom, because we can all do it. We don't have to perfect the jhanas or know all the 94,000 something or others. We can actually practice kindness, to sit still with, and this is kindness to ourselves, sitting still with that bottomless pit of whatever it might be, and giving of ourselves to other beings, and giving of ourselves to ourselves, so that we're not running around trying to fill that hole all the time. It all works together. When we help other beings, we feel less deprived ourselves. Seeing Avilakoteshwara, and there she is, with a little jar, pouring water out endlessly upon the sea of suffering. The water never runs out, because she's sitting still, and it comes through her. It's not her own personal private water of compassion. It comes through Kanzeon. And that's how it works. If we give of ourselves, while helping ourselves as well, that water keeps flowing. We can keep practicing kindness. We're not depleting ourselves, actually. In fact, on the contrary, we're helping ourselves with that seemingly bottomless pit. This is practicing integrity, to practice kindness, generosity, thinking of other beings. It's part of the practice of integrity. Another definition of integrity, I looked it up in the new shorter Oxford English Dictionary, which is my dear friend. Another definition is original state. Something is in its original state. I thought, aha. What is our original state? We talk about our original mind, our original nature, true nature, Buddha nature. How do we find it? How do we keep true to that, to our original state? Practice that form of integrity. Our true nature, pure, simple, Buddha nature. We talk about this all the time. And this is our true heart's wish, to find our true nature and live from that. That is our true integrity that we long for. That's what we really want to do. Our true heart's desire, to come back to that true, simple nature. To let go of some of the complexities of our lives and just come back to that simplicity. Easy, it sounds wonderful. Oh, I'll just, sounds like I'll just go and live in a little simple cottage in the woods, and live from my true nature. Well, it's not like that, actually. We'd be in our cottage in the woods and say, okay, what about my morning cup of coffee, But to live with integrity, to come back to that true, simple nature. Actually, we think it's something really mysterious. My Buddha nature, where is it? Something mysterious, somewhere in there, and I don't know where it is, and how do I find this? It's in there somewhere. And they told me, Actually, we practice it all the time, but we don't think it's that. Our Buddha nature is this spontaneous kindness that we practice. Just in a simple situation, helping a being who needs help. We all do this. Sometimes we don't notice, we miss it, but often we do it. We want to do it, actually. We want to practice kindness. We're really happy when somebody needs our help, and, a complete stranger. You pick something up for somebody or do something for somebody. We have this moment of, I can help this person. That's our Buddha nature. And sometimes we miss the opportunity. It's all right. This is what we want to do. The courage to do what's really, truly good rather than what's convenient. Sometimes that's really hard. I think we often talk about decisions, in the workplace, when you're asked to do something that you think is not good. What do I do? Do I lose my job? Do I tell people? Do I just go along with it? Will I get other people in trouble? It can be really hard. But the wish to do what is truly good rather than what is expedient, we have that wish. The little voice that says, I wouldn't do that. Sometimes we hear it, sometimes we just bash on and do the thing. And think, wait a minute. There's something just inside, just did say, not a good idea, but I didn't listen. I end up in some mess. But that little voice is there, even if you don't really seem to hear it. Even the dis-ease when you've just broken a precept, or about to break a precept, that feeling of, that doesn't feel good, and then we look, what did I just do? What did I just say? I wish I hadn't done that. Or, I'm getting ready to do something, if we're lucky. I don't think I should do that, In all these ways, in lots of ways, we experience our Buddha nature, that true nature is telling us something, if we're just still enough to listen and not run around by all the other stuff. without even knowing it. That's what we're doing. So do not worry, we have it, it's there. And when we try to be aware of that, and to listen to it and to follow it, the training with integrity. This is our real training of integrity, of staying true to that true heart's wish, our true nature, that which is truly good within us, that we all want to live by. And it's there. It's not far away. It's right here. We just have to trust it. And to see when we're getting ready to be pulled off by our wanting something or fear of something or compulsion to live up to something. Wait a minute. Do I need to do this? Maybe it's not a good idea. Why am I doing this? Why am I over here doing this thing? Is it because it's really good to do? Or am I trying to look good? Or am I trying to feel good about myself? Feel good about myself. Impossible task. And as we actually give ourselves to helping beings, including ourselves, it really helps with that impulse to try to fill up that seeming hole, whatever it might be. So here we are, surrounded by images of Avilakoteshwara, all somewhat different. And there she is pouring her water of compassion, as I said, it's pouring endlessly, constantly. There she is riding the dragon. I love that. There's a lovely picture of, I don't see one, but there is a lovely picture that I've seen often of, some of you do see these pictures of her here on the dragon, but there's one. The dragon's really wild, and there's wild sea and all this, and here she is standing completely still and poised with a little vase, standing on the dragon's back, as though she was standing in her own sitting room, and this wild dragon beneath. It's a lovely image, because this is compassion, balanced on wisdom. The dragon is wisdom, also the protector of the Dharma. There's a very dynamic aspect of this dragon. It's not a bad dragon, it's a good dragon. However, he's pretty wild. And there she is, compassion, standing balanced on this being, because you can't just have wisdom or you get all over the place. You've got to have compassion. You've got to have that kindness of heart that helps you to stay balanced. What is best to do here? What's good to do here? Not just what's seemingly wise, but what's really good, what's best for beings. That kindness, standing there with a little vase of compassion, on this wild creature. It's lovely. With 1,000 hands and eyes, 1,000 eyes to see what's needed and wisely see what's needed, and 1,000 hands to do the work. Get them dirty, maybe. These lovely ways of seeing how compassion manifests in our world, how we practice it, how we see it in other beings. We can call upon Avilakoteshwara to help us in our need. Here she is with her little vase and her 1,000 hands and eyes, and not only a vase, but all the other implements she has in this picture here. She's got all kinds of stuff. A lot of them are empty hands, but a lot of them are hands with some kind of tool. Wrenches and drills and chainsaws and we're not some special great being with all these 1,000 hands and eyes. And yet, we all have a little bit of Avilakoteshwara in us. We all have that wish to help beings. And we receive the help too. It's not just, here I am with the bliss-bestowing 1,000 hands. We also need help. We need all the help we can get. We need help in letting go of that bottomless pit, and help in giving to other beings too. So we're not just giving out, but we're also receiving help by sitting still, standing still in our dragon as we rush through the world. But there's nothing special about this, about us. Sometimes we fall off the dragon. Sometimes we miss the opportunity. Our 1,000 hands and eyes are elsewhere, We fail to see where the help's needed, or we get caught up in our own stuff. And yet, we just get back on, and we just keep on doing our best. And to see these wonderful manifestations, and to know that they are not separate from us. They're not some great being in the sky who has nothing to do with us. We are also part of Avilakoteshwara, because we have the aspiration to do our best, that aspiration to train with integrity, to help ourselves and other beings, that true nature that wants to live for the best, do the best we can, and we can trust that. We can trust our true heart's wish. Keep coming back to that, and sit still in the midst of that, in the midst of all the things that happen. When you fall off the dragon, get back on, and not worry. Just trust. When you fall in the sea of suffering, it's also full of this water of compassion, and we can just come back to our true purpose, our true wish. And that's our training with integrity.